So that's about encapsulation, right? You get all the related information at one single place. Okay. So it enhances security, right? If I do not want to give you permission to dictionary, or if you do not want to use dictionary class, don't use dictionary. You will not have access to it. Okay. And you know, even if I give you access, okay, there will be few things which I can mark it as protected or private, okay, which you will not have access to. Okay, but main reason is that information is available at one single place. Okay, it is easy for the user to find the information, and you do not, you know, you can manipulate the information, but using those methods only. So you know exactly what you're doing. Append, you clearly says what you are doing. Okay, if your intention is to do append or add a member, that's when you will use append method, right? So that's what the class and encapsulation does, and it makes more readable, more maintainable, and more logical flow, right? Then access modifiers we did, right? What are those access modifiers? It is used for information hiding and taking control of information. What information can we expose to the public, to the derived class, or within the class, right? So you have public, private, protected, right? So public members, like show is public member, name, salary, all these are public members, right? Private, which will have double underscore in the beginning. So name is public and salary becomes
Private.
private. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, so this is private. Protected, it will have one underscore. So yeah, department here, you see. Department here is protected. Then you also have getter and setter functions or methods rather, okay, in
Mhm.
Python. The primary use of getter and setter is to ensure data encapsulation in object-oriented. Get, okay, means you are reading the value. Set, you are changing the value. Okay, so let's say if you have employee here and you say get salary. Okay, get salary is returning you the salary which is there in the class. Okay, or in the object rather, right? It's the object specific thing. So it give you, and you want to change the salary to something else. Okay, so you can change the salary. So in that case, you will use set salary. You're changing the value. Okay, so that's called get and set. Get will, so every generally the practice is that every variable that you're dealing with, okay, should have a get and set function. Okay, I just want to know the title. I just want to know the the value, like say library, right? I've given author name, title, so I need those values. So using get, I can get it. I need to change the value, only one value at a time. Okay, so I can set the value. Let's say object. Okay, um, um, for object one, I need to change the book title to something else. So using set, I can do it. Okay, so I think we'll come back to get set in our example later. Okay, let's understand what's abstraction. What is abstraction? For
So
me, what I look at is it's another viewpoint of looking at encapsulation.
they're
Okay,
hiding up on data.
right. You are hiding the data, right? So you are hiding the implementation detail. Okay, so values are accessible, but you are hiding. Okay, the way it should be done, right? The complexity, right, is hidden from the user. Okay, the example which I have given in this is, like, say when you upload a video to Facebook, you have a single upload button, you click on upload, okay, and you say upload and okay, right? When you say okay, okay, it's not that simple, right? It has to do a lot of things. It has to send every stream of data to Facebook server. It should be made available after upload to your account, all those things. As a user, we don't worry about, right? We don't care, what technology and how the Facebook does. Okay. But if your video is not getting uploaded, you'll start cursing, right? That why video is not getting uploaded. Because as a user, we don't care. Like, another example, when you go to a restaurant, right? When you sit, okay, on a table and you make an order through waiter, okay, you don't care what's happening in the kitchen. What you want is a good, tasty, healthy food that should come to your table, right?
Yes.
So, why don't you go to kitchen and then order and eat there? Okay, they want to abstract, hide the messy part, right? You may not like to sit in a kitchen and eat, right? So it's saying, okay, you have a very good, nice looking ambience that where you are made to sit, but food is being prepared in the kitchen, which is all messy and noisy and things like that, right? So for you, that part is hidden. So same thing when we work with the class, okay, you only need to know the application. You don't care how append does it. You use print to print something. You don't care about how print internally does printing on the screen. Okay. So now abstraction, okay, is also used using what we call as abstract method and abstract classes. Okay. So to use abstraction, we always have to import ABC class, and the class that you are making an abstraction should be derived from ABC class. Okay. Now, sorry. I don't know, when I get up in the morning, I get this, and this will be there for the next 1 hour, and then it'll go down. Okay, so I was talking about this last class, right? So when you say class shape, so shape has in it, and it has area and perimeter. And see, I made them as abstract method. Abstract method will not have any implementation. It will not have implementation. Who will implement an area and perimeter? All the derived classes will implement it. Okay, all the derived classes will implement it, and you are forcing the derived class to implement it. Okay, let's look at the same example. Okay, let me share my. Okay, so first thing first, we need to import abstract method and abstract class. Okay, and they are in ABC. So from, okay, ABC import, okay, class is called ABC meta and method is abstract method. Okay, now I need to use a class, right? So I'll say class, and what class we are using here, let me see. Call it as shape, yes. Shape, and I'm going to say sorry. Let me check this. Okay, meta class. Okay, so I don't know why it was not coming. Double underscore meta class. Okay, so meta class indicates that this is a meta class. This is a, so this class that I'm going to declare, okay, is of type ABC meta. That means it's only for decoration. It's only for uh, having just what it should do. It will not have its implementation. Okay, and then, okay, let's say you want to add couple of method. So I'll say abstract method def area. Okay, area, and area will say pass here. Then I'll create another abstract method Okay, and I'll say def perimeter self here. Okay, so we created two. Anything else is here? Okay, so it uses init and which returns the shape type. Okay, let's add that as well. Def init, and init takes a shape type. Okay, so let's add shape type. Okay, and I'm going to say uh, self dot shape type equal to shape type. Okay. Okay. So this is a class. Okay. Which is what we said was class will implement which is hidden from us. Now here it has some method, but the information is not implemented here. In fact, the way it is done is purposefully. Now, if I call a class, okay, here we are using class rectangle, okay. So we'll say here class rectangle, okay, and a class rectangle will inherit from shape, okay. Now I'll just say pass here, nothing. So what will happen here now? If I say R1 equal to rectangle, right? And there's nothing here. But now when I say R1 dot, you see area and perimeter is forcefully, okay, forcefully added to rectangle,
Rectangle.
okay? Now, in a way, you are forced to implement this because if I don't implement it, what will happen? Okay, when I run it, you will get pass. Okay,
Yes.
shape type. So we need to pass the shape type here. Okay, because this is inherited property from here, and it has a init here. So what I'll do, we'll have a init here also. Okay, and in this init, we will take the value and we will, you know, pass. Or directly, what I'll do is we can directly say shape dot, because we know that it is rectangle, so I don't have to pass. I'll just say rectangle. Okay, now you run it. Shape type, right? So this shape type should go here, right? What happened? Oh, self is not added automatically by the PyCharm. Okay, so now, so you know, rectangle is inheriting properties from shape and it is creating perimeter. Now perimeter is blank. Now you'll ask, how can perimeter be blank? Perimeter has to have some value. So every class that is inheriting from the shape class have to implement both perimeter and area. Okay, so now so we'll say okay, so here when we do this, okay, we will take length and say breadth. Okay, now after calling shape, we will use self dot length equal to length self dot yeah, equal to breadth. Okay, anything else we need to add here? No. Now we are forced to add perimeter and area. Okay, def perimeter, so it will be returned. Okay, perimeter is 2 times length into breadth. Self dot length plus self dot breadth, right? And your area is return self dot length into self dot breadth, right? And now oops, we have to pass the values, right? Rectangle. So I'll say
Yes.
length is 10 and breadth is 5. So you get 30 perimeter. Okay. I can say here perimeter is. Okay. And similarly, I will say here area is. Okay. So, so every class that inherits from shape will be force, right? Okay. So circle, square. Okay. But implementation will be different. Circle will have different formula. Square will have different formula, isn't it? So let's say if I have to do it for circle, so I'll copy this entire stuff. I'll say here circle will only need radius. Okay, here I will say circle. Okay, we'll say radius. Now perimeter is 2 pi r, right? 2 into 3.14 into self dot rad. Area is pi r square, isn't it? So
Yes.
self dot rad into 2, right? And then you say 3.14. Correct? Now, if I say here, again, I'll copy this entire stuff. I will say C1 circle, and circle needs only one value. Okay, print perimeter is, area is C1. So it looks like automatically, these values are called. These values are called automatically, right? So for a user perspective, you'll say, yeah, rectangle should have perimeter and area. Circle should have perimeter and area. Every shape should have, perimeter and area. 3-dimension will have volume, not perimeter. But 2-dimensional shapes are 2-dimensional, right? Will have perimeter and area. So you know as a user, but as a developer, you might forget. So in a way, your abstract classes defines just the name, which functions should be used, so that as a developer of these classes, you remember, okay? At max, the worst thing that can happen is that as a developer, you don't give the body, you don't declare this, okay? You don't do this area, okay? You forget. But user will not get error, okay? You're getting wrong answer, but you're not getting error saying that area not found. Area not found logically will be incorrect, okay? So that's the purpose of doing this. Make sense? So this
Yes.
is what we call it as abstract class and abstract method. Something which is abstract, something which is not visible, but in a way you are using it to force the other class to implement those. Okay, otherwise the end user will see circle has area, but answer will not be correct. So it becomes important for you to give the correct implementation. So you are forcing it. Okay, so let me switch back to the other. Okay, so this is what we did. So you have constructor, okay, mainly three types of constructor. Default is the one that you don't write it, okay? It is when we did our first example, if you remember, we had get and print info, right? We did not use init. Okay, so when you do not write init, init is called, okay? Init is called when you create an object. So if you don't write init, there's a default init every class has, okay, which is automatically called. And since you know it is called, but nothing is done, right? You have not done anything. Then we say non-parameterized. There's no parameter, there's no argument that you pass. So if you simply say init self, okay, that's called non-parameterized. Parameterized is when you pass argument. Okay, so mostly either, you know, based on my experience, you know, what I've seen is either you use default where you don't have anything to do it, or you use parameter because you have something to do with. So something without parameter is not possible to do. So you pass the arguments to this, right? So we pass parameters. So if I need to assign length and breadth, just like we did in the previous example, so we'll pass length and breadth to the init, and length and breadth will be assigned. If you have to pass author, book title to the books, right? So we'll pass those, and values will be initialized. Okay. So here you see this example where we have not created any init function. So class person will have an init, okay, but that's default, okay, inbuilt default, okay, which does nothing. Okay, that you can have non-parameterized where I'm not passing any value. Okay, so if you have to add some default values, then this is good. Okay, so every object will have name Lakshman. Okay, because we are not passing. So every time you create an object, self.name will be Lakshman only, right? So that's your non-parameterized constructor. And this is your parameterized construct where you're passing unique name to every time you create an object. Okay, so the object will have name that you pass while creating the object. Okay, so here if I create P1, P1 name will be Sachin. If I create P2 at Virat, the name will be Virat for P2. Okay, so that's about the init thing. Then you have self keyword. So I told you can use any keyword, not just self. Okay, but whatever you use, same thing you have to use everywhere. So if you use ABC, you use abc.name. Constructor overloading. You can even overload a constructor. You can have parameterized and non-parameterized. So when you create person P1, okay, this will throw error because, okay, in Python, we do not have function overloading. We'll discuss that. So if you write two function like this, the one that is the last one, okay, that will be treated as a real function. You might have init one version, second version, third version, same name, right? In Java and C++, yes, this will not throw error. You look at the parameter and it's no parameter, so this one will be called. Oh, parameter, so this one. But here in Python, no, overloading is not there. You cannot have method with same name, okay, more than once in the same class. Parent class you can have it, but not definitely not in the same class. So if you try to do that, the latest one will be treated as the correct function. So this will be ignored in definition, this will be taken. So now when you say P1, it will go and check with the latest init. Oh, it needs a parameter. So throws error saying one required, the two required parameter only, but only one is passed, right? Self is passed and name is not passed. So that's why this will throw error. Then you have instance method. Okay. So instance is to check if it is an instance of. If I create an object, let's say you have class 2 student. Okay, like I mean you have two classes, student and faculty or student and teacher. I have an object. Which class that object belongs to? Okay, so that is called as instance object. Okay, and so for example here you see is instance Sachin.student. So that Sachin is object, okay, and class is student. So is Sachin an instance of class student? Okay. If it is, it will say true. If it is not, it will say false. In this case, yes, true. Both are true, right? Both are object of student. Then class method. Okay. So what is class method? Class method is a method that belongs to the class, entire class. If you do not put class method, it belongs to the object. Okay. So value that you put there will be in class method will be common for all the object
Yes.
of the class. So for example, if I will go to, where is my pie chart? 1 second. Okay. So let's say I create a class and I'll say books, let's say, right? And I have def in it. And here, okay, let me put title so that you can see the difference. I'll say self dot title equal to title. Okay. Now I'll create a variable called count. Okay, equal to 0. Now since count is in class outside any, in any method, this becomes a class level. So I will say books dot count plus equal to 1. Now I'll create a class method. I said class method will have common value. So class method, that's how you indicate class method. Okay. And def total count. Okay. Class method will PyCharm will add a CLS, but as I said, doesn't really matter what you do. Okay. If I put CLS, then you have to use CLS everywhere inside that to indicate it's a class level. Okay. So the best practice or the international norm is you use self here and you use class here. So here I will say print total titles in the library equal to, okay, CLS dot count. Okay, simple function, simple method here. And now I'm going to create an object. So I'm going to say B1 equal to books, right? And I'll give title as, say, Python programming. Okay, then B2 as books SQL programming. B3 equal to books machine learning. B4 equal to books Tableau book. Okay, so now I have got 4 objects. Okay, now if I say print B1 dot title, title is object specific. So if I say B1 dot title, what will I get? Python programming,
Yes.
because that's the title for B1. Now, if I say B1 dot total count, so I'm calling B1 dot total count. So what will it print? Total title library. It will say 4. Okay, because 4 titles have been created. Okay, so if you ask something which is specific to the object, B1 will tell you about B1 only, title, author, whatever. But when it comes to class level stuff, all of them will have same information. Whether I say B1 dot total count or I say B3 dot total count, or I say B4 dot total count, all of them will tell me same information because total count is a class method. All will say 444. But when I talk about specifically about the title or about what is specific to the object, I will get different answers. So B3 dot title will be different. B4 dot title will be different. Okay, because they are different. But when we talk about class method, it's going to be same, okay, for all. Make sense? Machine learning, before is W, but class method will give same output. That's what class method is in the previous document that we have seen. Moving back there. Okay, so this is class method. Okay, you have something called as static method. Okay, they are not, you can't create an object of static method. So static methods are method used in class in some way, but don't have access to any class specific properties like data. They don't require self parameter. Okay, because it is not belonging to the class. It is like a, so we told you, right? There are three types: object specific, class specific, and your temporary kind of thing. So that is what static methods are. So when I say static method, it is like a normal function within the class. Okay, so okay,
Oh, it can't use any other like global stuff or anything.
no, okay, it is like it's there. That's because it is there. It is there. Okay, it cannot do anything. CLS dot cannot do self dot. Okay, so you can use person dot display, but see, you're not passing self here also, or you're not passing anything. So generally, these are not when you create an object. Sorry, when you create another class, which inherits the properties from this class, the display will not be inherited. Okay, display will not be inherited. Make sense? So it is there just here. It cannot go to the next class.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, can you explain this again?
Again, what?
Sir, static class.
The static method decorator was used to tell Python that this method is a static method. Which method is a static method? Display is the static method. Static methods are great for utility methods used to perform tasks in isolation. Okay, they cannot access class data and should be completely self-contained. So it cannot access class data and it is not inherited also by the derived class. So static method, okay, when you define static method, it is only to work for that particular thing. It has no relation with the class. It is part of the class. So to call it, you have to say class name or object name dot. You can say person, class name dot display, or you can create object dot display. Okay, but this cannot access any other member, and this will not get inherited when you have a derived class. Okay, so something that you want to do something temporary. Okay, this is best because you don't have to say self dot or CLS dot, right? Directly you can call it. But this cannot talk to other methods, other classes also, right? Now you can read this. Now, here we do not have something called as destructor, okay? Because we have called garbage collector, which will actually write the destructor. But good practice is that you write destructor. Whatever is created has to be destroyed, isn't it? Otherwise, that object will be hanging in the memory. And this is why, when you run some of the applications for a long time, your system becomes slow. Because every time it creates an object, okay, and the object remains in the object remains in the memory. Okay, you are not deleting it. It's only when you switch off the system, restart the system, all those objects, are removed from the primary memory, from your RAM. But if you do not call it, it still hangs there. So when you are done with it, when you are done with an object, and let's say after that you don't think that you'll be using the object, it's better that you call del. Del is destructor. Okay, you have constructor, which is to initialize the values, and you have destructor to destroy the object. That means once you call the destructor, after that point of time, that object is not available for use. Okay, so we have something called as del. When you do the del, this delete is called automatically. Okay, so for example, if I go back to my program here, okay, let's say I no longer need B4. So what best practice says is, if you don't need B4, say del B4. So once you say delete B4, now here B4 dot title or B4 dot anything will not work. Okay, B4 is not defined because we have just said deleted. You want to do some, okay, so just like init, when you create an object, init is called, okay, init is called automatically here. Here destructor is called automatically. But if you want to add some message, you want to perform something before it is getting deleted, okay, you can add, you can overwrite, okay, you can add a delete function here. So I'll go here and I'll say def underscore underscore delete. Okay, the object with title, I'll put F here, format title. Okay, so object with title, self dot title. The object with title, self dot title is getting destroyed. You can't use it again. Oops, what happened? Yeah, so what happens is, so see, before I said, right? So before delete is done. But when the program is ended, right? That's what I said. When your program ends, the garbage collector, GC, is calling all the other objects. Everything else is getting destroyed. Okay. So if you do not end the program, let's say I put input. Okay. When you run it, you see, only W is getting destroyed, nothing else. All the other three objects is in the primary memory. So when program is running, like right now program is running, right? Input is waiting for me to enter a value. So as long as program is running, all these objects are in the memory. And you keep creating, you keep creating, you keep creating objects. So more and more memory will be used up by these objects. And then your machine becomes slow because it does not have enough memory to load new values. But when you destroy, when you restart, when you destroy or you stop the function, okay, the garbage collector will delete all the objects. That's the purpose of garbage collector. Automatically delete is called and everything gets deleted. Make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so constructor and destructor. These are their properties. Okay, so with that, we complete our object-oriented programming.
Sir, can you share this PDF to us?
Of
So,
course, if you see there, I'll add all the programs there, and okay, I'll share the PDF also. I think I'm not sharing the PDF. But these things are there in your book also, right?
Yes, they are in the books.
Yes.
Sir, I have not the book.
You will get it in a day or two. Did you get any message?
Uh, no, sir. You just asked me about have you received the book or not?
Yeah, yeah. No. You'd have got a message from the courier company, okay, about the book, and you can actually track where the book is. Okay,
So there is no message
yeah,
from the company.
you'll get it. No worries.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
So could you give some problems related to all what we did in object-oriented programming?
Yeah. So I told you, right? Start building a project. I think I've discussed about project, right? I wanted to start building a project. Definitely, all these things will come where you have to use them. Okay.
Like project means like how do we search for what kind of project we should do or
And remember we discussed that other day. You can think of maybe you can start building a say a real estate application. So where you want to save all the information, lead generation, or you want to talk about how to handle. So think of a real time use, maybe a library management.
okay.
Think of let's say um, you know um, um, uh, application to manage outpatient in a clinic.
Okay.
Okay. So what happened here when you start working on this, there are two things that will happen. One, you'll have to read about the industry. Okay. So what application does a outpatient clinic needs? What kind of information we need to store in our application? If you talk about real estate, you will need to know what application do they need.
Okay.
Okay. What kind of information do they have to save? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Library. How does a library work? Okay, that's the first point where you are not starting with the coding, but first you're starting with the information. Okay, then once you understand the system, once you okay, this is what we need and this is how the system will work, then you start building your project to start creating class and objects.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, and you come to me saying that this is what I'm thinking. How do I do that? You have to ask me questions.
Okay, sir.
Guide you on.
Okay.
Okay.